This one is awesome. I absolutely love this movie. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be ranking all of the movies directed by Christopher Nolan. So it's been a little while since I've done any movie related content here on my channel. Lately I've been more into music for whatever reason, and the movies have kind of fallen by the wayside, but I figured I would bring some of the movie content back, and Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors, so I figured I would do a little ranking of all of his movies and yeah, just see which one ends up being my favorite. So clearly I'm a huge fan of Christopher Nolan, and all of these films are fantastic in my opinion. None of them are bad. For the sake of this video, I'm going to be breaking this ranking up into 5 categories. So A+ are the ones that just blow me away. Every time I watch them, I love them even more somehow. A's are going to be movies that are still absolutely phenomenal, don't get me wrong. They just don't have quite as much of an impact on me, but they're still basically A+ films. B are going to be the Christopher Nolan movies that are really good. They don't blow my mind, but they are very solid, and I would happily watch them multiple times and enjoy them every time. C is just going to be the films that kind of fade into the background. They're by no means bad at all. They're just not Nolan's most memorable films. And then D is just going to be any movies that are just not personal favorites of mine. I don't really have any desire to rewatch them. So we are starting with Christopher Nolan's 1998 directorial debut, his movie Following. This one I actually really enjoy. It's very much, I would consider it like a little brother of Memento. It has the same vibe that Memento has, almost like it could be like a student project for a film class. It kind of has that vibe to it, or that feeling to it, considering that it's his first like feature-length directorial project, and it's only like an hour too. It's pretty short. I thought it was really well done. There's a lot of thought definitely that went into the storyline of this one. It kept me engaged for as low budget as it is, and I thought Following was pretty solid. Ultimately, I actually feel pretty comfortable putting Following, I think, in B. I enjoyed it. It's a short little film. I really got into it though. I feel like, again, considering it's his first movie and it has a pretty short running time, there's quite a bit that goes into it. Up next is going to be Christopher Nolan's 2000 psychological thriller Memento. This movie, every time I watch it, I absolutely love. This movie is just fantastic in my opinion. It is so simplistically intricate. That's the best way I can describe it. It's actually a pretty generic film, but the way Nolan goes about reorganizing and cutting apart the timelines in this one make it just such a fascinating watch. And again, like I said about his first film Following, it has this very simplistic nature to it. It makes me, as someone who's just a fan of film, really inspired to like come up with my own ideas for movies, because as much as it's enjoyable to watch these big blockbuster, big budget movies, they're so over the top sometimes that it seems out of the realm of possibility that a normal person could just make a movie. And when I watch films like Memento, it's very inspiring that like anyone can come up with a cool movie concept and execute it on a very low budget with minimal effects and everything. So I love Memento for that reason. I also love Memento just because it's an amazing film. For me, Memento is an A+. I'm going to put it right at the top. I absolutely love it, and every time I watch it, it somehow gets better. Up next is going to be Christopher Nolan's 2002 film Insomnia. This is kind of a, like, you could say thriller, a little bit of mystery involved, and it's about this cop that goes to Alaska to investigate this murder, and a bunch of other stuff obviously ensues. I don't know, this movie to me just didn't seem like a Nolan film. Of all of his movies, even if I don't necessarily get into the storyline or anything, Christopher Nolan usually has a certain mark on his films. You can tell he directed it, and this movie didn't have it for me. This is like the one Christopher Nolan movie that if I had watched it without knowing he directed it, I would have no clue that it was a Nolan film. For that reason, it kind of lost something for me, and it kind of just faded into the background for me. Definitely wasn't a standout, and I can honestly say I think Insomnia is the only Christopher Nolan film that I've seen it once and I don't really have a desire to watch it again. I think every other Christopher Nolan film I would happily watch multiple times, but this one I don't know. I didn't really get into it, so I think Insomnia I'm gonna put in D. Again, it's not a bad movie at all, but just not really a standout for me. All right, and then in 2005, Christopher Nolan directed Batman Begins. I really like this one. Batman Begins is awesome. I always enjoy it every time I watch it. This movie really sets the tone for the 3 Batman films, and it kind of gets things going in the trilogy. In general, I just like the tone of this movie, the darkness of it. Obviously, the acting's great, the directing's great. Of the 3 Batman movies, it is my least favorite, so I'm gonna put Batman Begins in B. And I will put it above following. It's a great movie, and I always enjoy it every time I watch it. It just, compared to the other 2, it's not as good, but it's still really solid. Up next is Christopher Nolan's 2006 psychological thriller, The Prestige. I'm not exactly sure what genre this movie is. It's about these 2 rivaling magicians that just kind of try to keep upstaging each other with more elaborate tricks. Typical Nolan film, it kind of goes down a more like sci-fi, supernatural direction, and I love it. The Prestige is a great movie in my opinion, and I enjoy it every time I watch it, but I think I'm gonna put The Prestige in B. I will put it at the very top of B though. Up next is The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's 2008 film. What can I say about this one? It's amazing. I'm not even a huge like superhero movie person, but this one is awesome. I absolutely love this movie. Everything about it, in my opinion, is perfect. Obviously, the directing, the acting, the effects, everything about this movie is so well done. And what I said about Batman Begin kind of setting the tone, it's basically for this film to really shine. Like everything is set up in Batman Begins, and then it culminates in the second film in the Batman trilogy with The Dark Knight, and it just gets everything right. I'm just going to stop raving about this film and put it right in A+. I still like Memento more. I just love Memento, but The Dark Knight is also absolutely worthy of A+. It's just a phenomenal film in my opinion. Up next is Christopher Nolan's 2010, psychological action thriller science fiction film Inception. Kind of a bunch of different genres, and it just folds a lot of stuff into it. I mean, if you've seen Inception, you know it's a very complex film that's extremely well done. So much thought went into that storyline, let me tell you. Now, Inception I find incredibly difficult to rank because technically speaking, this film is an A+. It really is. For some reason, it's not one of Christopher Nolan's movies that just profoundly affects me. Like The Dark Knight and Memento, I just love. I love those 2 films so much. And I really like Inception. For me, it's just not quite on the same level. There are many people out there that I know will disagree with me on this, but for me, Inception, I will put in A. Up next is the 2012 film The Dark Knight Rises. This is the 3rd Batman movie in Christopher Nolan's little trilogy that he's got going. This is another Batman movie that I think is just extremely well done, very enjoyable to watch. For me, it's not on par with The Dark Knight, but it's better than Batman Begins. That's kind of my feelings on it. Still really good though, and I think I'm going to put it in A. I'm going to put it under Inception, but it is very solid. Up next is Christopher Nolan's 2014 science fiction film Interstellar. This movie is just epically grandiose in just about everything. In effects, in music, you have Hans Zimmer composing, so of course it's going to have an epic soundtrack. The running time is really long too. It's just a very big, epic movie. I understand where critics are coming in saying that this is not Nolan's best film. In certain regards, it maybe is a little over the top. I love it though. I'm very biased. I love this movie. For me, Interstellar, I'm going to put an A+. I just really love this film. There's something about it that just affects me in a way. Up next is Christopher Nolan's film Dunkirk. This one came out in 2017, and it's kind of just like a more historical war film. Just because of the subject matter and the storyline, it's not my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. In terms of the effects and the visuals and the sound and the look of this movie, it's amazing. It really is. But the storyline just doesn't suck me in as much as other Christopher Nolan movies. So I'm going to put Dunkirk in C. It is technically a brilliant film. It's just not my favorite of his films. It kind of fades into the background, but it's still an amazing movie. And last up, we have the film Tenet. This is Christopher Nolan's most recent movie, and it came out in 2020. This one is everything that Memento is not. So what I said about Memento being kind of a more simplistically complex movie, it's very complex, but when you really break it down, it's very simple and straightforward. Tenet is not that. It's very convoluted in a way. And the fact that it's a lot bigger budget of a movie with a lot more effects and everything thrown in kind of make it almost seem even more convoluted than it already is, if that makes sense. I really enjoyed this movie. I got into it, but it is a little bit almost over the top in how twisted they make everything. It's almost like they're trying to make it be more complex than it has to be. I do absolutely love the visuals. The action scenes are so well done. There's a couple in here, the one with the airplane, the one with the fire truck, that road chase scene are all just visually captivating to watch. But overall, as a movie, the storyline kind of lost me. So I think Tenet I'm going to put in C with Dunkirk. I think I liked Tenet better than Dunkirk. So there you have it. That is my final Christopher Nolan movie ranking. In A+, the movies that just like profoundly impacted me and just made me love film. We have Memento, The Dark Knight, and Interstellar. Those three, in my opinion, are perfect movies. In A, so basically also perfect movies, just not quite as much favorites of mine. We have Inception and The Dark Knight Rises. In B, so right in the middle, movies that are really, really good. They just don't quite stand out as much. We have The Prestige, Batman Begins, and Following. In C, so movies that are good, they just kind of fade into the background in his filmography. We have Tenet and Dunkirk. And then in D, so my personal least favorites and the ones that I just wouldn't rewatch again, we just have Insomnia. So there you have it. That is my completed Christopher Nolan movie ranking. I have been wanting to do this video for a long time because I love Christopher Nolan. He is by far one of my favorite directors. Every one of these movies is really good. I would recommend watching any of them if you haven't seen them, and definitely let me know in the comments if you agree with my ranking, if you disagree, and what your favorite Christopher Nolan movie is. But yeah, if there's another director too that you want me to do a movie ranking for, let me know. I would love to check out their films. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up here. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.